So here we go, guys. It's just about to start right now, okay? And then as soon as we get the opening bell, I will go ahead and bring in the 5-minute chart to see if that gave us any indication as to which way price might move. There we go. That's the opening bar right there. Everything just kind of popped to the upside right out of the gate. And you guys know I typically don't trade the first 15 minutes, but for the sake of the recap, I'll take trades wherever I deem appropriate, even right now at the opening bell. Okay, but we're going to watch this a little bit and see how this kind of shakes out right here, right out of the gate. Okay, now the very first thing, okay, that you have to do, okay, is just, I'm going to pause it right there. This is the third bar of the day. The reason I'm pausing this is because I want you to look closely, okay? Look closely at this chart, okay? You just opened, okay? The market just, you were on the third bar of the day right here, okay? You're looking at your signals on the chart, but what exactly is this telling you, all right? Let's analyze this so we can go ahead and make heads or tails of it, okay? Right now, you see cycle touching the zero line on the third bar of the opening bell. You have momentum way up above the threshold. Could this be telling us anything? Okay, could this be telling us that this might be the end or the beginning of something? All right, to learn that, okay, yeah, you have to analyze it, okay? Yeah, you absolutely can. And let me go ahead and show you how to do that. Mike, welcome back, buddy. Glad to have you here, okay? This is exactly how you do that, okay? And this is exactly why we use these precision tools, okay? You look back at what happened the previous day right towards the close, right here, guys. You see this, all right? And remember what I've told you guys countless times, and I'll always continue to repeat the same thing, okay? That cycles precede trends, okay? And what you had right here with all this movement with price going up was nothing more than a trend, okay? This was a trend to the upside right there that began right around 15:32 yesterday afternoon with cycle number one. All right. Okay, here's the beginning of cycle number one right there. Look at this, okay? Here's the beginning of cycle number two right there. So this is exactly how we know, guys, with absolute precision at what phase of the cycle you're in. If you're noticing right here, cycle number two is right about to cross below the zero line, all right? This is third bar of the day. You're only 6 minutes into the trading session, all right? But if you were to pause for just a moment and before the market opened, looked back at what happened right before the close yesterday afternoon between 3:38 in the afternoon all the way to 4:15 to when the market closed, you would have noticed the formation of cycle number one. Well, how do you know that that's cycle number one, Chris? It's real simple, guys. You see right here where price just went into trend mode right here, okay? When the yellow line actually broke through the 0.90 threshold, that's telling you that price just went into trend mode. So if price went into trend mode right here at this juncture, which was exactly at about 3:54 in the afternoon, it would reason to say that cycle number one began right here. Well, how do we know that? Well, we know that because it ended here. If it ended here, it started here, okay? And these are 180-degree cycles in the direction of the trade, okay? Remember, guys, cycles always precede trends. And how do we know this is a cycle? Well, because you've got a sine wave formation. Look at this. You got a sine wave formation right here with momentum following cycle, and you've got another sine wave formation right here with momentum following cycle as well. It's a clear cycle, guys. If it looks like a cycle and turns like a cycle, chances are it's a cycle. All right? And remember, cycles precede trends. So if the trend began right here to the upside, okay, which is the remainder of this move up, okay, you can easily count your cycles by looking backwards, all right? This is the beginning, this is the end. So if that's the case and you're at bar number 3 right here in the morning and momentum is still way up here at the, way up above the 0.90 threshold, what is cycle number 2 telling you, guys? Just drop it in the comment. We haven't even gotten to PureMO yet, but you're looking at cycle 2. What is that signaling to you right there, right out of the gate at the open? Cycle number 2, guys, is telling you that the move is likely to be over soon. That's what that is hinting at you right here. This is exactly what this is telling you right here. Not only that, but if you look down here, okay, what do you see? You see that PureMO is going into its little exhaustion zone right there, all right? And if that's the case, let's go ahead and see if this is really going to have any huff and puff to the upside. Now, before I do that, let me go ahead and bring in my 5-minute chart right here, all right? So we've got the 5-minute chart right here. We're going to do the same type of analysis here on the 5-minute chart that we just did on the 2-minute chart as well. What do we see right here? We see a cycle, the formation of cycle number 1. How do we know that this is cycle number 1? Again, we just had price go into trend territory right here, guys. Check this out. Right smack right there. And it actually happened before the market even opened the previous day. Sometimes it's worth taking a step back to see what happened the previous day right before the close of the market, because that has a lot to do with how the market is eventually going to open the next day. Here we're also seeing that PureMO is all the way up here, okay, in the exhaustion level here. Now, typically, you're not going to get any type of move here unless you have a tilt to the downside, okay? So we know a couple of things that are happening here. We've got the formation of cycle 1. It's in trend mode. PureMO is up here in exhaustion zone. This is right out of the gate, guys. And right here, you've got the end of cycle 2. So let's go ahead and continue to see how this plays out, okay? This is honestly not the type of trade that I'd want to chase right out of the gate in the morning. Because what the signals here are telling you guys is that the move might be exhausted. It's telling you that the move might be almost done with right here. And look what just happened here on your chart, okay? You just had PureMO tilt down right there, guys, okay? You definitely had cycle number 2 cross below the 0 line right there. And let's go ahead and just continue playing that to see what happens, okay? That upside move is likely going to fade, and that's exactly what these tools are telling you right out of the outset in the market when you see cycle number 2 crossing right there below the 0 line. Guys, there is no chasing this trade to the upside. This is how traders get trapped in these trades, and they end up losing all their money in these little reversals that happen right here, okay? And that's really important to know. Now, also, there's another important element that I want you guys to be aware of, okay? You've got the 80-bar VWAP line, which is this line right here, okay? All the way up here, and price just hit it right there. Look at how price stalled, okay? It stalled. It came back in, okay? It hit the resistance line right here, and now it's kind of bouncing back up right there. Anytime, and I think you've heard me say this, you heard me say it yesterday and a few other times. Anytime price hits this top VWAP right here, this 80 bar VWAP, or this bottom VWAP, which is the solid green line, price tends to stall. Now, I want you to hold that thought in your mind, okay? The thought of me saying that whenever price, let me stop it for a second. I want you to hold the thought of me saying that whenever price hits this green line, either this 80 bar VWAP here at the bottom or up here, that price tends to stall. Hold that thought in your mind, because as we move along in this recap, I'm going to show you something really interesting where you're going to recall that same thought that I just planted in your mind right now. So hold that thought in your mind. Don't let it go, okay? So now what happened right here, guys? This trend really didn't go anywhere. It hit the 80 bar VWAP right here, did an about face, and now it's in what? Cycle territory, all right? Your momentum is all the way down here. There's really nothing going on here. It looks like you almost had a third cycle right here, which really didn't materialize to much right there. Cycle, that could be cycle number 3, okay? If you if you wanted to see that. What would be nice right now at this point? You know what would be nice? The fact that it's already back here in cycle territory to actually see what the cycle chart is showing you, all right? So let's go ahead and bring that bad boy in right there, okay? This is our cycle setup right here using CYMO, okay? Same tunings for the what do you call it? The VWAP right here. And look, it's inside the channel right here. Now look at what's happening right here, guys. Okay, this is super classic textbook, you know, CYMO and CYMO 101 right here. Check it out. Look, you just had cycle cross below the zero line right there. You have momentum also falling right here from the top. Okay, second bar right there. Also, you look down and you look at CYMO, you just had a crossing right there of the zero line. What is this telling you? Okay, this is telling you guys that now that you're back in cycle territory, that this is a short. This is a short setup right here, guys, okay? There's nothing on your trend chart that would keep you from maintaining an eye on that chart. Now it's time to focus on this chart right here. So let's go ahead and do that. And that is a sell order right there, guys. So that's a sell order right there. And let's go ahead and see where exactly that trade ends up ending right here, okay? Okay, this might be a good spot to take this trade off right there, okay? And I will wait until we get the purple line crossing above the zero line.
Order filled.
And there we go, guys, right there. Okay, that was a nice, clean trade from 19,942 all the way to 19,894 right there to the downside. Why did we take this off? We took this off because cycle crossed above the zero line right there, okay? We also had momentum. We also had CYMO right here rise above the zero line as well, okay? That is the end, guys. Okay, you're in cycle territory right here, not trend territory, so you want to clip these bad boys as soon as you see the crossovers of the zero line right there, okay? That would be the end of that move to the downside right there, all right? So we're gonna let this bounce around and see what happens. Looks like momentum overshot a little bit right there with CYMO to the downside. So looks like the momentum swing to the downside is pretty much over right here now that it crossed the zero line, okay? And you've got cycle coming down right here. Don't know if there's going to be any type of move right here that we can take, but let's go ahead and watch it, all right? Seems like it's stuck right here at this support level at the bottom in our VWAP. But now that cycle is down here, okay, and this is nice, okay, because what comes down must go up, okay? If I'm going to take a trade, it's likely going to be to the upside once I see cycle. Exactly, do that right there.
Order filled.
Okay, what goes down must come up right there, and that's a good entry point right there to go ahead and scalp that bad boy. You got momentum going up there as well, which is good. Okay, and I will go ahead and take that and see where that goes. And you also had a crossing here of the purple line above zero, which is also a good comforting point right there to let you know where price is at. Okay, now I'm going to stop it here for a second, guys. This is important, okay? And the reason this is important because this is one of those things that if you're trading the cycle component of price right now, you have to be aware of, okay? Keep an eye, always keep an eye on this little bad boy right here. Watch. On the cyan line, the CYMO cyan line right here. And what you want to watch out for, okay, you want to watch for when it breaks up, when it breaks out above the gray box right here, okay? Whenever it breaks out above the gray box or below the gray box, that is telling you something, okay? And what that's telling you is that it's picking up a strong potential move in price right here, guys, okay? That's what that's telling you there. So rather than you hopping off the trade right here when the purple line crosses below 0, which would have been at this bar where you're at, okay, what you want to watch is this yellow momentum line right here with CYMO, all right? Now, the reason why you want to watch the yellow momentum line is because if the yellow momentum line just breaks through the top, then this likely means that you just entered trend territory right there. Remember, these little cycles right here, and this is a cycle going up, can potentially turn into trends, okay? So you want to watch that, and the clue that's going to give you, that's going to give it away is this cyan line going above the gray box, okay? So now here we go right there, okay? You do have a momentum quite high right here, but it hasn't exactly gone up, okay? But price is still moving up right there, all right? We'll just give it one more bar and see if it actually pokes its head up. Okay, so this is right at the 90 threshold right there, and it's inside the 90 threshold. You can't see it, but it is inside the 90 threshold right there. Look at how the cyan line is elevated above the region Y threshold right here. Okay, this is telling you guys that price is pulling up. So, you know what, at this juncture, guys, what would be a good move for you to do if you see this, okay, if you see momentum up here, so you had two things happening right here, okay, you had the cyan line break above the region Y threshold, which gave you an indication that momentum might be pulling price up. Now, if this happens and momentum actually goes above or sinks right there to the 90% threshold, okay, a good thing to potentially do, guys, is to stop and look at your trend chart right here, okay? Because now what this is telling you on the cycle chart, what it's telling you in advance is that you might have gone into trend mode before the trend chart actually picks it up. Now, check this out. I'm going to bring this back because I really want you guys to look at this, okay? This is something you don't want to miss here, okay? Look. This bad boy just went inside the 0.90 threshold, which is pretty much at the level where you need to be considered in trend mode, all right? You're already at this level right here, guys, okay? This is telling you that in advance of the yellow line actually going into trend mode right here on your trend chart. So you can actually spot that earlier on your cycle chart than you can on the trend chart. And that's the only reason you can do that is because CYMO is set to 7 instead of 14. So it's a lot faster and it's giving you the signal a lot quicker. But if you come here to your trend chart, you can see it right here as well. You can see momentum already shifted to the upside right here, okay? You had the cycle, which is your first cycle right there, okay? And you've got momentum rising right there as well. Okay, so let's see how this plays out right here on the trend chart, all right? All right, guys, so right here, this would be cycle number 1. And to just have absolute confirmation, well, yeah, this is definitely inside the 0.90. You could tell right here at the end, it says 0.90. So you definitely are in trend mode right here. So, wow, check that out, guys, okay? You're in trend mode. This is cycle 1. This is the end of cycle number 1 right here, okay? And you are now officially in trend mode right there. You had the shift in momentum happen right here, all right? But let me go ahead and pause it for a second because this is going to be killer, all right, guys? Check this out right here, okay? This is the cycle chart, okay, that we had. Now, I want you to notice something right here, okay? We spotted this right here at 10:22 in the morning, okay? This is 10:22. Keep that in mind, okay? Now, check this out over here, okay? We spotted the trend over here at 10:30, okay? So we went from 10:22 right here all the way to 10:30. So let's go ahead and count the bars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 bars, okay, before the trend chart caught the trend. You saw it on the cycle chart. 5 bars sooner, guys, okay? So just imagine if you can spot the trend early on your cycle chart at least 5 bars earlier, okay? And position yourself to ride that trend right here by capturing the first cycle component going up. Guys, you're already 5 bars into the trade before the trend chart spots it right here. So here we go. We got the commencement of cycle number 2 right here. Now, what's going on with, if I pause this just for a second because we're about to get cycle number 2 here. And if you guys wanted to confirm this move to the upside, check this bad boy out right here, guys. Okay. Remember in the morning what happened? Okay. We had cycle number 1. We never had cycle number 2 form right here inside the 5-minute time frame. What you did have was a pivot, a tilt to the downside right here. And this tilt to the downside right here came exactly right smack at that bar right there, guys. Perfectly nailed the top on the 5-minute chart. And then what happened? Prices kind of vacillated a little bit right there, okay? And then you had a second cycle forming right here with cycle number 2 to the upside, or I would actually say this is cycle number 1 because momentum actually faded down. It wasn't consistent, so this would be the commencement of another cycle to the upside right there. And you had a shift in momentum right here to the downside, to the upside as well. Right smack right there, guys, okay? You could have just put it right there and that's it, okay? So perfect confirmation on that 5-minute chart. That price was going which way? Up, okay, guys? If you wanted to confirm it on the 5-minute, guys, this is exactly what you needed right here to confirm the move to the upside. Both in the morning, it told you when the upside was going to be over, when you had the tilt, and you had the second leg of the trade that actually began right here, okay? So this is beautiful so far. Now let's go ahead and continue to see how this works here on the trend chart, because remember, the cycle chart caught the move to the upside, the trend component, earlier, and now we just confirmed it 5 bars later on the trend chart right here. All right, so let's go ahead and see how this whole thing ends up playing out. Here we've got the commencement of cycle number 2 right there, okay? Our VWAP just turned green as well, so that's telling you that you are in trend mode right there. And it is still moving, guys, and we have the end almost here, look, of cycle number 2. Okay, this is ending right here, okay? If you want to be concerned, oh, actually, it didn't cross the 0 line. Oop, my bad, okay? I was just about to plot the arrow, and I noticed that it didn't make the 0 crossing right there, so I'm going to hang on to my guns until it does, right there, okay? This is the 0 crossing right there. You've got momentum, however, going up right there as well, okay? Now, if you want to confirm where you're at in the trade and to see whether or not this has any more meat in the bone, you can always confer to your 5-minute chart right here. What do we have with the 5-minute chart? We just had the beginning of cycle 1 right there, okay? This is the end of cycle 1, all right? And how do we know that? We know that because this is the start of the trend right here. Look at this, guys. That is the start of the trend right there. And momentum is still running pretty high right there on your 5-minute chart as well, okay? So not bad, okay? And let's go ahead and see exactly where this ends up fading out, okay? If there's a third cycle to the upside, awesome. That'd be great. But this to me kind of seems like it might be going sideways, so I honestly wouldn't mind taking my profits right here, guys, and just, calling it a day. That's just, my flavor of the day right there, and let's see what happens there. I see momentum going up a little bit right there, and it's still above the 0 line, guys, okay? So this can continue going until it actually hits the 0 line again. Okay, looks like we might get cycle number 3 right here. Look at this, okay? Right there. It almost seemed like it was going to go above the 0 line, but it actually went horizontal. So here we go. We got cycle number 3 right here, guys. Okay. It's right there. Okay. Went up above the 0 line finally. Okay. And normally at the end of cycle number 3, guys, that is really the end. There is nothing else, and that is the end of cycle number 3, right smack right there. Looks like it's going to be the end of cycle number 3. Let's wait for it to cross below the 0 line, and it's just going horizontal with the 0 line right there. That looks like it's going to fade to me. I'll be more than happy to take my profits right there and run for the hills, okay? And it actually did. Came down right there, and that's it, guys, okay? Now, if you look at your 5-minute chart, okay, look at what happened, okay? You had the start of cycle number 2 right here, but look at what's happening with momentum, okay? Right here, it just sunk. Momentum is coming down. This is telling you that the trade to the upside is fading, guys, okay? And if it's fading, it's probably a good time to get out of the trade, okay? Now, if we go ahead and look at our cycle chart, because remember, once you have your 3rd cycle, you had cycle 1, right here, you had cycle 2, and you had cycle 3. What precedes the trend component of price, guys, okay? If you've had a 3rd cycle, if you had a 3rd cycle in the trend component of price, what is going to happen afterwards? Typically have a cycle, okay? It's a reversal. Exactly. You have a reversal. That's exactly what you do. So we're going to go ahead and bring in our cycle chart right here to see exactly how that plays out right here, and whether or not there are any opportunities right here to take that trade to the downside right here, okay? So here's what we have right here. Price is back in cycle mode right there, okay? You've got momentum falling, you've got cycle falling right here as well. You got momentum falling right there, cycle is really moving down nicely right here as well. But here's a couple of other things that you have in your favor, okay? You've got an inflection point right there in price. You've got the purple line with CYMO, which is already down below the 0 line right there, okay? That, my friends, okay, is a setup to go short right there, okay? That's exactly what you're looking at right there. That is the setup right there to go to the short side. And your trade right there will eventually end whenever the purple line crosses above the 0 line right there, okay? All right, so let me pause it right there because this is also important for you guys to see, all right? We got a couple of things happening right here. We have a cyclic cross where cycle and momentum are kissing goodbye right here at the bottom. You have the purple line right here at the 0 line, but check this out, guys, okay? Remember a little while ago when I told you about this cyan line at the very beginning of the session? I told you to keep that in mind. Remember? Okay, keep the cyan line in mind and also to keep the green line in mind as well. I told you guys at the very outset of the session that whenever price hits the top 80 VWAP or the bottom 80 VWAP, price tends to stall, right? All right, so if you're here at this juncture and you see a crossing, but you see this bad boy coming down right here, this is an early sign that price might go into trend mode again. So let's go ahead and see if that plays out. Okay, sure enough it did right there, guys, okay? You just had price go into trend mode right there. And instead of using a trend chart today, I'm going to go ahead and just leave the cycle chart here. We're going to count the cycles, okay? We're going to count cycle 1, cycle 2, and see exactly where the bottom actually hits, okay? So if this is the case, we're not getting out right here when the purple line crosses up because price is now in trend territory right here. Look at this, okay? You see the wave formation just broke out below the region Y threshold right here, okay? So if that's the case, let's go ahead and begin counting our cycles. This would be cycle number 1 right there, okay? And it would end right there. This would be the commencement of cycle number 2 right here, okay? And we're going to go ahead and follow that and see where we actually see either cycle 2 or cycle 3 and the rotation to the upside afterwards, okay? Now keep in mind, guys, at this point, I am just following market structure right now to see exactly which way price is actually moving, okay? And there's something else that's kind of cool that I'm gonna show you guys right now as well. That I haven't actually. I don't think I've told you guys before, but here, check it out. All right, let me just go ahead and do this real quick. I'm gonna show you guys. Okay. So here we have the cyan line. Okay, falling again from the region Y threshold right here. Okay. Now pay attention. This is important. Okay. Generally, okay, when there's a lot of swing in the market and when the swing is really good, the way price is swinging right there, you normally have two crossings of the zero line by the purple line that absolutely nails the bottom of the move, okay? So this would be the first crossing right here of the zero line to the upside right there. Now this is still down here, okay? And it's all provided that the wave line is below the region Y threshold. So follow me on this, okay? This is important, okay? This is like next level stuff if you really want to fine tune your skills at nailing the bottom, okay? You had the crossing right here. You had the wave line right here come below the threshold, and this is the first crossing of the zero line right there, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to look for a second crossing of the zero line back up. Kind of like a cycle, if you would. So you have one cycle right here. We're going to look for cycle 2 in this wave line to really nail the bottom of this move, okay? That's what we're going to do. Now remember as well, just at the very beginning of the session, I told you guys what happens typically when you have price hit the green line right here, okay? I told you guys that price ends up stalling, right? So let's see if we could actually get a crossing above the zero line. And there it is right there,
Order
guys.
filled.
That is the crossing that I was hoping to see.
Wow, did you see that? That's what you call precision.
Okay, and that's the crossing right there, guys, that you needed to see to really nail the trade to the downside. So you had one little cycle, you had two little cycles, so long as the cyan line stays outside right here, okay, and there's enough swing, and this will absolutely nail the bottom for you, okay? And also remember that whenever it hits this green line, this 80 bar VWAP, price ends up stalling right there. Oh, and what happened with our cycle rotations here? Let's count them. We have cycle 1, okay? We have cycle number 2 right here. Check this out. Cycle 2 right there, and we had cycle number 3, okay, which pretty much ended the rotation to the bottom right smack right there, okay? I mean, you can't get better than that, guys. Right there, look at that, okay? And what follows a trend? A cycle to the upside. How fitting.
Wow, did you see that? That's what you call precision.
And there you go, guys. That's exactly what precision trading looks like right there, okay? You have it right there for you guys to see, and I'll be answering questions for you guys in a moment. I just want you to see how it looks like right here as well. Okay, we had the first cycle right here to the downside. This is the trend chart, which you could have used to capture that trend to the downside. Okay, cycle 1 right there. And you have the trend component of price that begins right there. That's how we know where to begin counting our cycles. It dips. This is cycle 1, okay? And this is cycle number 2, right there, and it ends where? It ends smack daddy right here, guys. And look at this. This bad boy came all the way down, hit the exhaustion point right there, and that was it, guys. There was nothing else right here at the tilt left in that trade, all right? So let me go ahead and just kind of pull this back a little bit so you guys could see this, all right, right there. Let's start with CYMO right here. Today I left CYMO set to 14. Didn't touch a thing. And what we got was just beautiful, beautiful, clean cycle rotations throughout the morning. No distortion, no adjustment needed, just pure clarity. Now, why did that work so well? because the market was giving off clear energy waves, not crystal balls, not random scribbles. The market doesn't move in straight lines, guys. It moves in cycles, waves of energy, buried inside what I call noise-weighted frequency fields. And that's why most school indicators fail, because they're built on static patterns. This market is built on pink noise. CYMO, on the other hand, is tuned for the real rhythm of the market. It showed us the structure, and more importantly, when that structure was losing its drive as well. Okay? Now, while CYMO handled structure, PureMO down here, okay, stepped in to tell us the momentum story. Okay? And here's what it did brilliantly, okay? It was, it wasn't a dip below zero that signaled a turn. It was the purple line tilting down right here. Look at this, okay? At the very, very beginning of the trade right here. This purple line tilting down right there, guys, after rising above the 0.90 threshold, okay, that told us that right there, right here, was your early warning. Before price flipped, before most traders even suspected weakness, PureMO right here, okay, showed us the exhaustion. And if you weren't watching that tilt, you missed the best entry of the day, okay, which was over here when the market actually took off, okay? That's what PureMO does. It tracks where the energy's building and where it's about to run out, okay? Now, let's step back and look at this big picture, okay? The futures market is like a giant roller coaster that never stops. You have millions and millions of people reacting, overreacting, and chasing shadows. But underneath all that chaos, there's a rhythm. A pink noise structure where bigger, slower cycles carry more weight than short-term ripples. If you've been trading without understanding that, it's like trying to surf without seeing the waves. And most indicators, they're static, they're old, they're tuned for the wrong noise spectrum. But CYMO, PureMO, and even ScalpMO, when the market gets choppy, okay, they're designed to help you tune into the real cycles, and obviously to trade the waves and not the noise, guys.